Testing, testing, one, two, three. Testing, testing.
Okay, thank you. Just before we get into the agenda, don't forget, members, there's a workshop after this, so I know there's a good turnout in the chamber tonight. We have a few online, Councillor Nelson, Armstrong and Duffy as well, so you're very welcome to stay on for that workshop. So I'll go into apologies. None have been received. I'll take any from the floor. Councillor Burns, or Alderman Burns. Okay. That's grand. Okay, thank you. Any others that we're aware of? Don't see any. Okay, we'll move on to declarations of interest, and I'll take them in the usual manner. And then on to agenda item 3, we'll go with 3.1, the Macmillan Move More report card, and I think Darren's going to take these.
Thank you, Chair. Chair.
Sorry, hold on a wee second. Just trying to get rid of this split screen, but I think I have to click myself off. So if you click on again, yeah, and then I'll get rid of me.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. Items 1.1, 3.1, 2 and 3 are all items for update for elected members, and we are happy to take questions on those. Gillian will take 3.1 and 3.3, and Paul can take any on 3.2, Chair, if you're so minded.
Okay, I have Alderman Tinsley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And it's on item 3.2. I have a number of just very brief queries. With regards to 3.2.2, customer unreasonable behaviour incidents, it's gone from 3 1 year, 6 to the following year, and 6 to this current year, which we're already on 6 and we're only a quarter of the way through the year. Now, my question is there a pattern of these particular incidents, that issues that council are not addressing? So there's obviously a reason why customers are being, now there's no excuse for it, none whatsoever, but usually for unreasonable behaviour there's a reason. Somebody's not getting maybe an answer, and all I'm asking is this something we as a council need to be looking at? Another one then that I had was under 3.2 again, was gymnastics update, and it just officers have agreed to purchase a number of tickets for the awards, and subject to availability would hope to get a maximum of 10. My understanding is, Chair, that they always come to committee for regard, in relation to will we purchase tickets, and if so, how many? And then we would also agree and discuss and agree at committee who should actually be attending. My understanding is it's not officers normally do that. It always comes to the relevant committee, regardless of what the purchase is. Don't have an issue with purchasing of tickets, but I would just like to understand why that hasn't been, why that has actually changed. Great to see the inflatable splash sessions as well. That's again under 3.2. I think that's a fantastic purchase that we have done. But I did read that we were having a lot of disappointment with families not being able to book onto that. And I did ask the question, when was those sessions in play? And believe it or not, today I went on and I saw it being advertised from now until the end of the year. And the only time is a Sunday afternoon, which I don't agree that should be the only time, because there is families that want to avail of that but wouldn't avail of it on a Sunday. So I would like to see that rolled out into another weekend day where possible, whether it's in the evening, the morning, wherever we could have availability on that as well. And you'd be pleased to know, I'm delighted to see these reports. That sounds very negative, Chair. It wasn't. The work that we have been doing is fantastic over the summer period. And as I say, I should have started with praise first, and then I brought in the few queries that I had. But thank you for letting me highlight those things.
Yeah, I may not be the person to take all of these, Alderman Tinsley, but certainly on the unreasonable customer behaviour one, I'll take that first. As as a department over the last 18 months, we've become aware of a number of issues relating to customer behaviour towards other customers and towards our staff. So it's not always the case where it's against the council. It may involve customer on staff, and it was felt at a time that maybe the tolerance for some of that was a bit too high, and we needed to lower the tolerance for unreasonable behaviour from customers and tackle it head on. So on one of our closure days last year, we undertook a significant amount of staff training on the unreasonable customer behaviour policy, and then we issued some very clear guidance to managers across all of our facilities on who the appropriate officers are to deal with that at a particular point in time. And we then have some signage up to raise a bit of awareness to say that this is not acceptable. Without getting into specifics, we have dealt with some very difficult issues, some very disruptive issues, and I am actually pleased that the numbers have gone up, because our staff are reporting to us as management that we're now starting to take action on areas that they felt that we should, and so that has been a positive for the department. It's a negative in the sense that we are having to deal with any of the unreasonable behaviour anyway, but certainly where issues arise as a matter of service delivery or anything, that we'll take that through the normal complaints process and deal with it that way. We wouldn't necessarily tag that as unreasonable customer behaviour. This is where we've had an incident relating to a customer, and we've actually gone through and applied the policy, and there's been investigation and an outcome, and that outcome then communicated out to the customers themselves. Some of that has resulted, to be honest, in suspensions and bans and withdrawal of services and things like that, as well as consequences for that. So, and that's ongoing on a regular basis. So that's where we are with that. In terms of the gymnastics awards, Alderman Tinsley, as I understand it, that the scheme of delegation gives delegate authority to the director to take that forward. In terms of the agreeing, I guess, the awards, it is, you're right, a matter for this committee in terms of the chair, the vice chair, the Lord Mayor, Deputy Lord Mayor, or their attendees, I suppose. But I think maybe Paul, maybe clarify that one. And then the last point that you raised, just in relation to the inflatable splash sessions, maybe Paul, I'm not sure if you have more information on that, but that is something that we have noted as being a success for us, and we're going to revert to a booking system so that we can plan that out better as well. But in terms of the pool programme and space, Paul will be closer to that detail than I am. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Paul now.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alderman Tinsley. Just your query around the awards. Yeah, as Darren has mentioned, yeah, I suppose such a positive thing that we're involved in. It would be the normal protocols set out about who's invited, those sort of things. But maybe unaware, happy to bring a report back in the future for those sorts of things, to attend the Lights of Awards as opposed to going through the scheme of delegation, if that's a preference.
Okay, Alderman Tinsley, do you want to come back in? Or?
Yeah, Chair, thank you for that. I've been in council for a number of years, and if it has changed, that's fine. But it has always been, as far as I'm concerned, if we were purchasing a table at the Veterans Dinner, or if we were, it would always, something like that would always have had to come through and get support from across the chamber for. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against this, I'm really not, but I'd like to understand when this changed, and is this now the way forward, that no matter what dinner or any event that anyone is going to, that it doesn't come to the relevant committee for councillors to be, number one, aware of it, and to have some sort of input into who actually attends the particular awards ceremony. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Alderman Tinsley, yeah, and I think Paul's probably happy enough with that approach, you know, going forward. I assume the reason behind this was, and I'm maybe putting words into Paul's mouth, but I suppose it is a good news story, and I'm assuming if it's a dinner, there's perhaps a table has to be taken, and there's potentially 10 people at it. So that's maybe the reason behind it. But you know, I'm not gonna dwell too much on this, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask for a proposal that we do take 10 spaces, and I'm gonna propose that, and then I'm also gonna propose that future events, particularly within this committee, are brought to leisure prior to that, unless there's some overriding reason that the time frame is way too short to bring it to committee. So my proposal is that we accept the 10, and if there's any future award type situations where there is requirement for council officers and committee members and indeed staff to attend, and particularly staff in a particular unit that this is potentially celebrating, that a suitable number of them are invited, would be my take on it. And if that could be ratified, or anybody has some alternative view, I'm happy to hear it. So I have, let me see, Alderman Tinsley, I'll let you back in again, because I see.
Well, Chair, maybe it's better to take the views from others, but I'm happy to support that, but also to include the chair of the committee in that actual celebration. Thank you. So if it needs a seconder or whatever.
Yeah, I'm actually going to bring Paul Coleman in, because he has been waiting patiently here. Oh, no, you can hit your light again. Put the wrong one there.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. This is just in relation to the inflatable, if you're happy to answer. We are currently looking at a Saturday, so I do take the comments on board. At the moment, pool space is a premium, but we are hoping to have something on a Saturday as well, and certainly over the holiday school periods as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and now I'm going to bring in Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Chair. It's actually on 3.1 I want to speak on, but I'm happy to second that Margaret's going forward there with. Happy enough for that. So, but really, I want to the McMill Move More programme that has been done here within council. And speaking as somebody who's had cancer myself, I know how important it is for that support and the well-being and that. And I want to thank Gillian and all her team, because I've seen firsthand last year exactly what they've done. There's very little programmes that we do here where there's 100%, you know, the feedback is that it has made a big difference to their lives. And it is, and that cancer journey can be a very lonely place. And whatever help and support that we can give as a council here, then we should be doing it. But I just want to put on record, you know, my thanks to Gillian and all her team for what they do. And there's a figure that has been bandied about, and it's if you're from the rural community, you're 5% less likely to survive a cancer diagnosis as you are with your urban counterpart. That's the figure that's been bandied about. And I think going forward, we need to be trying to get more into that rural community and try and get, and especially for men, you know, men do need to come out and go and get checked out and tested as and when needs be, you know. I've said it, I was speaking at a cancer group last Tuesday night in Warringstown, and I said it there and I say it everywhere. You know your body better than any GP or any consultant in this country. And if you do not feel you're 100%, go and get checked out and don't be fobbed off. And that's my parting words, so thank you, Chair, for allowing me in.
Yeah, and definitely wise advice, and we'll do well to take it on board. I think, is that 3.1 to 3.3 dealt with, Darren, in your opinion? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to agenda item 4, and this is a decision item, and it's the draft response to the DFC anti-poverty strategy consultation. And Ruth's going to take this one.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. And the Northern Ireland Executive published their draft anti-poverty strategy on the 17th of June, with consultation open till the 19th of September. A draft response has been prepared by officers for member approval. The vision for the strategy is working together, poverty and its impacts will be effectively and sustainably eradicated across our communities. And this vision is underpinned by three key pillars: minimising the risk of falling into poverty, minimising the impacts of poverty, and supporting people to exit poverty. In summary, the draft council response welcomes the creation of an anti-poverty strategy and supports the vision. It agrees with the holistic approach outlined under the three pillars, whilst raising some issues with the detail under these, and those are outlined in the response which we have drafted. We note with concern the absence of reference to continued provision of crisis support to those who are in poverty and to the key role played by the community and voluntary sector, supported by local councils, in meeting needs and addressing barriers to enable people to move beyond crisis. And we point out the absence of a commitment to a specific budget to support delivery. Members, the draft response is in your papers, and it is recommended that you approve the draft response to the Northern Ireland Executive Anti-Poverty Strategy. Thank you. Happy to take questions.
Thanks, Ruth. Have we anybody? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Chair. Indeed, last week we had our NILGA meeting and we got a run through and everything, and there's a couple of points that does come out, and that is the working poor, which is sometimes not recognised, and especially within rural communities and that as well, and that was high on the agenda. But we did raise our concerns, like this is a massive piece of work that has to be done. It's took a long time to get here to this stage, and it's going to take a long time before they roll this out, unfortunately, but it has to be right, and it has to be right for everybody right throughout the borough and that. But those are points that were raised: the working poor and economic inactive, getting people back into employment and helping and supporting in that process. And from a council level, I can see duplication of works there, possibly with LEPs and all of that, or perhaps work that can be done within LEPs to enhance our journey on that. But one thing that does concern me, Chair, and that is if this Stormont drops this on council, which is likely to happen, we need the resources to follow the programme through to make sure that we can run that programme successfully. And it's going to land on council and the community voluntary sector, and who are already stretched within community, but they need the resources, and that needs to be emphasised. I know you have highlighted it, but it needs to be emphasised, and we need to keep that to the fore in any future negotiations or talks. But again, just close the team. I know do a fantastic job, Nicola, and all the team there do a fantastic job within the different programmes you're already running and supporting the food banks and all of that. So, congratulations on that and well done on that. But those are just a few points, Chair, that was picked up last week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll have Councillor O'Hanlon.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And thanks for the work that's gone into the response thus far. The only thing I would say is that if we listen to the community and voluntary sector and the bodies who are on the coalface here, they've been overwhelmingly negative about the policy, in that they said it's deemed unfit for purpose. And I don't want us to be going at loggerheads with those who are dealing with the services on the front line. It's right that we need to be careful that this doesn't land on council, because one of the specific issues raised was the lack of ring-fenced funding for the strategy, but also the lack of actions and targets. So I'm happy for a response, but I think we need to note at the start of it the commentary that's out there, because I know I heard something on Radio Ulster recently. It was some of the chief executives involved in it, and said that they were hoping that the minister would actually withdraw the strategy before it got to implementation stage, because they believed it was as they were talking about, not fit for purpose. So I think we need to put in a caveat to say that we welcome the work that's gone in thus far. However, we also note that there are considerable, there isn't any measurable targets, but there are also concerns raised by the wider community and voluntary sector and the bodies that represent them. I think it would be wrong of us just to not even acknowledge that commentary is there. I think that would be useful, and propose that there's a piece in it, even if it's in part of the cover letter that goes in with it.
Okay, I don't see an issue with that. Are you proposing, because it is a decision item, and we are required to approve the draft response, I don't see any other lights on, so Councillor Hum, you've proposed it with that addition in the cover with seconder. Councillor Savage, no, that's great, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to correspondence, and I'm not aware of any. So our next items are taken in confidential, so I'll seek a proposer and seconder to go into committee. Councillor Ratcliffe, Councillor McElrath. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of the meeting can proceed? when it is on, so that the meeting can proceed again in open session. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 7 is an AOB on Alderman Tinsley, the Water Sports Centre. Oh, sorry. I have to seek a proposer and seconder to agree the recommendations made in committee. So Councillor Hare, Councillor McElrath. Okay, so we can move on to the last item, Alderman Tinsley, Water Sports Centre storage.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to praise our staff for a fantastic programme at the Water Sports Centre over the summer period. At a number of community groups, and the engagement and everything was fantastic. Really, really good, first class. Just around the lakes themselves, again, the way that they've been spraying the weeds has been brilliant. The lack of litter has been fantastic. Dog fouling is perfect. You know, in terms of everyone's looking after the area except for the graffiti. I have been in contact with getting it cleaned up again, all around the lakes. But I would ask those that's engaged in that vandalism that they would refrain from it. It's such a beautiful, peaceful space. And when you come along to the summer seats and you see the eyesore that it is and the graffiti, we can't keep spending this money getting it all upgraded and repaired again and again. But I want to move on to the Water Sports Centre. I've been raising this for several years, Chair, in a private capacity, just picking up the phone and asking, what are we doing with the storage space there in the Water Sports Centre? Now, and there is officers that have moved on from post, and that's why I wanted to raise it in a formal capacity tonight, because the storage centre down there wasn't even touched with the weeds. Now, when I say it's unsightly, it's not untidy. The individuals that are actually trying to work out of that space are doing their best to keep it tidy, but it's an eyesore. You've just to look out through that window and you look around the lakes and you see the inflatable, you see the boats out there and you see that. It's an absolute mess. And I want to raise it formally. I want a report brought back as to what exactly is happening out there. Now, I know there's one container in particular that when I raised this, I don't even know how long ago it was, that I was told that one of those containers out there we were using is actually condemned, and it's still there to the best of my knowledge. I haven't seen it moved. Now, again, we have had a change of officers with regards to that, but I wanted it raised formally that it will stay on the record as opposed to me going through this informally, because it's not getting, tackled. I'm not looking at a response tonight, Chair, and I just want someone to bring this back to us in the near future as to what we're going to do. We're not looking at a brand new state-of-the-art, storage unit. We're looking at tidied up. Thank you, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, I think Darren's going to come in on that one for you, Councillor Tinsley, or Alderman Tinsley.
Thank you, Alderman Tinsley. And yeah, we are happy to bring something back to you on that and to speak to colleagues across other departments around weeds and spraying of those as well. Thank you.
Okay, members, I've no other relevant business as notified in the correct manner, so that brings our meeting to an end. I would remind members just about the workshop following this meeting, so thank you.